Did you say good night? Let's turn to Matthew chapter 22, verse 34. I'm talking about a subject that we all know, but it's hard to explain. It's something we all know, we all grown up in, have tasted of, if you know Jesus. But it's hard to nail down exactly what it is. And Scripture does a good job, but and Jesus embodies what it is. But the word is love. Okay, the word is love, and Scripture makes it clear. If you don't know Jesus Christ, what I mean by this, if you don't know the character of Jesus Christ, I'm not saying you know His name. I'm not saying you've heard about Him. You don't know what real love is. You have you might have a taste of it, okay? But you don't have the fullness of what love really is. Vadi Beckham, he's a pastor I was watching this week, and he was sharing about love, and he said that, he put it this way, we've been sold like a bill of lies where of this Greco-Roman view of love, okay? And it's this Cupid that comes through, and he hits you with an arrow. And then he said you start saying stuff like, this is bigger than the both of us. Or this emotional love. And the biblical love is not void of emotions, but the biblical love is a choice. It is a will. There's a lot of words used for love. There's 3 words used for love in the Scriptures, but 2 of the main words. The main word you probably heard of, agape, and I love that word because that's when I went on a mission trip, my first mission trip I ever went on, the house that we stayed in was called the Agape House, and that's where me and Mackenzie met, fittingly, right? And it took a lot of agape love for her to love me. Agape is unconditional love, okay? It's unconditional, and it's fitting. But that is God's type of love. And we say this stuff, and we say we love you, but do we understand what love really is? It is not an emotion. If God loved me based on how much I loved Him or how I treated Him or how I have been there for Him, He would have never come and died for me. The Scripture says that God so loved the world that He sent His only begotten Son. And it says that not because we loved Him, but because He loved us. And that's a whole different game. What sets there's a lot of things that set the Christian religion apart. But I say the main thing is a genuine view of love. We are commanded to love our enemy. There's no other religion that way. We're commanded to submit and love our enemy. So in Matthew 22, verse 34 is what we're looking at. And we could have went to any passage. I mean, we're any passage on this, and we'll look at a few. A Pharisee came to him, an expert in the law. Okay, this was imagine a guy that has his doctorate in divinity, maybe today. This guy that has memorized the Scriptures. He is the Scriptures, right? This guy is, and he knows it, right? And he comes to Jesus. He says, "Well, what's the greatest commandment, Jesus?" And Jesus tells him. He says to Jesus answering by saying, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and with your mind. This is the greatest and most important commandment. The second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets depend on these 2 commandments." So they all hang on this. You will completely fulfill God's law if you can do those 2 things. But also know that no one has ever done these. Only Jesus Christ has ever done this. Has loved God with everything that's in them and loved their neighbor as theirself. There's only one person who has fulfilled the law. Only one. And that's Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ is my righteousness. Do you know what that means? That all my goodness is found in Him. When I stand before God, God won't look at me and He won't say, how much did you love? And then say, look, you didn't measure up. He'll say, look, I know you didn't measure up, and that's why I died for you, right? But still, Jesus Christ is my goal. What that means is I look at Jesus and I try to emulate Him. The Scriptures tell us to emulate or imitate Christ. Imitate Him, which is like an actor, right? At times I have to say, I want to do this, but I'm going to choose to imitate Christ in this matter. Christ would forgive. Christ would let go. Christ keeps no record of wrong. And all those things sound sweet until the rubber hits the road and someone's done you wrong. And then love doesn't seem so good. Love more seems like hard, not so fun. But you will find yourself in more sorrow if you choose not to forgive and love then down the road when that grudge has eaten away at your heart and you've condemned that person to hell in your heart. You've hated that person in your heart. And you can't restore that person who's harmed you, which is what we're called to do. Jesus Christ is called to restore that person. Now note that what we believe and what we teach is that you're not saved. And what the Scriptures teach is you're not saved by how good you love. If that was the case, we're condemned. We're saved by how good Jesus loved people. We're saved by all what He did. Because He not only died for me, but He lived for me. And all His goodness is put on my account. But His representation says that He was the image of God. He represented love in bodily form. What did that look like? Well, at times for Jesus, that looked like suffering. Suffering. Sometimes love feels that way. Sometimes love feels that way. In